how long has it been since our last episode?
A month and a half.
Yeah, say probably 6 weeks.
It's a little bit more than a hiatus than we intended to take.
Yeah.
But it
When you
happened.
said, like, hey, it's okay if we take little breaks every now and then, like, Tyler, it's been
Month and a half.
a month and a half.
yeah, we'll talk about that. You guys ready to go?
I think so.
Okay. Everyone, thank you for tuning in to the Movie Rubric. I am Timothy McDaniel.
Cole, right?
Josh Glass.
And we're back, baby. I wish I'd thought about having M&M's do like without me start playing. Guess who's back?
Here's the thing. We got to have fans to care about that we even left.
That's true.
I don't even realize we're gone.
I
Hey,
had a
Speaking of fans, I made a Facebook post, and still, you guys don't share the Facebook posts.
in my defense.
There's no defense.
I don't use Facebook. It's
Josh,
exceptionally rare.
you know what I did, though?
What'd
I
you
saw
do?
that you posted, but as a responsible employee, I could not get on Facebook to share it during work hours.
Oh,
So by the time I got out of work, I forgot
you
about
forgot about it. Okay.
The last time I used Facebook halfway seriously was the Coke thing. I don't know if I should talk about, but maybe next time we have him on, he can talk about it.
Yeah.
But that was the last time I used Facebook.
Jonah
somewhat
out
seriously.
here
it. Trolling.
trolling the whole town.
He's a pro at it.
He was great.
So we are back. I'm very happy to be back. It's been a month and a half, as we were just talking about, and we've been gone. Life got busy. I'm in the middle of musical season, and one of us bought a house. Congratulations. You don't look excited. You look sad. Are you sad you bought a house?
No, because, well, there goes all my money, but
You look
That and
so.
concert tickets is
Yeah,
taking.
Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. I was trying to drop a marker.
Pausing.
I was trying to drop a marker. It's this button. There it is.
Uh-huh.
My gosh.
So you bought concert tickets and a house, but you should still look happy.
Yeah, but it's been a lot of work, Tyler. It's been a lot.
It has.
I mean,
I've been there the last 2 Saturdays.
oh, I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
I would like.
I
to come
volunteer
help you.
myself. So.
I would like to come help you guys. Just unfortunately busy.
We got to have musical practice on the day of conveniently.
Hey, we're not having musical practice this Saturday. What are you doing?
Probably working on the house.
I'll be there. Let me know what I got to
Okay,
do.
it's recorded now.
Want me to pause it again and edit that? I'm going to edit that out in
Yeah.
the actual post.
I'll
one.
pull it up when you have some other plans that arise.
Yeah. I will say you did inspire me, Cole. Painting your house. We have unfinished rooms in our house and inspired Elena and I. It's like, we need to finish painting our house. And we were in a big discussion as to what to paint, what will be the music room. And we've landed on agreeable gray.
That's the way to go.
Nice.
Only
we actually got a swatch of agreeable gray in our house, too.
only agreeable gray.
We helped you with your house, and we were like, I think we're the only one of our friends without agreeable gray. And it didn't look bad. It looked good, and it pairs with just about everything. So I said,
It's agreeable.
it's cheap. Let's just paint the room in agreeable gray, and we can do something different down the road if we want to. So
There you go. So did you guys paint it yet?
not yet, no.
Okay.
But we are like going to go paint probably next weekend. Maybe not because I'm helping him now at his house. So that was going to be a painting day, but not anymore.
Yeah,
Babe,
there
if
you
you're
go.
listening to this, I'm sorry. I made plans.
Yeah.
So, another thing I'm less happy about with your house is you didn't bring that door, did you?
No, because my other door didn't come in today.
Okay.
It's probably gonna be next week when I deliver your door.
Cole's new house has this ratchet, old, crotchety, deteriorating wooden door on the front.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife has decided that she wants to paint that door and hang it up in our own home.
You do. Isn't it shorter than a regular door, though?
Yeah, it's shorter, but it's not gonna be used for a door.
Oh, okay.
Like, she just wants to paint
It's
it
Just art.
It's decor.
and,
Okay.
like, put it up in the living room.
Oh, okay.
And maybe you weren't there,
I was not there that time.
but I tried to gather a defense. Like, babe, this is ridiculous. And I turned to maybe the worst room in the world. I thought they were a bunch of sensible, like, home decor, professionals, the group of ladies that was there. And I said, ladies, tell her that's ridiculous. And they were like, oh my gosh, that would be so cute. You should. And I was like, I lost. What they don't realize is her ideas for it so far has been a goose wearing armor going to battle for a paint. She
Okay.
talked about doing the 3 different panels as the 3 Twilight books, and I said no to that one. I
Yeah.
said
You nixed that
I
one.
very rarely, really never ever say as like absolutely no, but I
Yeah.
said no to that one. So,
Got to say no to the Twilight.
anything else new happen with you guys?
No,
Not really.
Just
No.
been busy.
We're all tired. That's okay. We're rusty.
Yep.
let's get into it.
You're getting our A game today.
We are. I'm getting the A plus game.
A
This is the
plus
A plus game.
Yep.
Alrighty, let's get into the actual movie. This episode, we are talking about Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Let's talk a little bit spoiler free about it. But first off, as always, did you guys like it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. I'll give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thought it was really good. It was lighthearted, which I'm very happy about because being D&D and some of the themes that D&D can encompass, I was worried they might go more of like a Lord of the Rings, like the new Amazon show, like super dark, route, but they did not. They went the opposite, and I loved it.
Yeah, I think, was it rated PG-13?
I think so.
Yeah, I didn't notice any blood or anything, so I assumed it was.
There were some brutal looking moments, but no blood.
Yeah, but
really.
there was no blood, no gore. Left your imagination.
Yeah, like it
open.
should be.
Like it
'cause
should
it's
be. 'Cause-
D&D.
Yeah, exactly.
Something I think I said it to you when we were standing out in the lobby. It's very rare nowadays that you get a lighthearted, just silly movie that's made for adults. I mean, or it goes the other way. So you do have like Anchorman, but even those aren't being made as much anymore. But just like as far as like a movie you can just shut your brain off and enjoy and it's fun, you have to go to kids movies for that. And like that's why so many people love Shrek.
Yeah.
It's in that weird spot where yes, it's maybe an adult movie, but it's also a kids movie. I'm really happy that this was for sure an adult movie.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious and it was shut your brain off and just enjoy this awesome magical world.
Yep. I like that. I like that part of it a lot. It was a lot of fun. My wife went and she was worried because she's never played D&D that she wouldn't understand it. I was like, it's just going to be a fun movie. That's what I thought going into it. And thankfully coming out of it, I was correct. So
Yeah. I really liked it.
Yeah.
What was your guys' thoughts on like the players saying that before they filmed this movie, they made character sheets and they sat down and they played as their characters?
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
You hadn't heard that?
That happened?
Supposedly. I don't believe it.
I don't at all.
I don't believe it either.
You don't think so?
A couple reasons.
Are we getting to spoilers yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, but like one, they've never said who the DM was. Like, did one of the other players DM? Did they bring in a DM? Who was the DM? And while they have
Mercer.
released,
They brought in Matt Mercer, I'm sure.
but no, because Matt Mercer said we've had nothing to do with this movie.
Oh, really?
Like he was very open. Like, hey,
Okay.
we've had nothing to do with this movie, which is shocking.
Yeah.
You would
He
think
is the face of D&D.
you would think they
Give
would
the
give
man
him
a
a
cameo or
That's
something.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like have him be the voice of a dragon or an orc or something, or like have him just a man standing in corner, right? Corner man number 4.
Yeah.
But no, nothing. He was not involved in the movie. So that's like my first assumption. And then 2, there are things they did in this movie that like rule lawyers will like put on their suit and be like, actually, you can't do that because of page 554 of the. Yeah, no, I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm going to try not to be.
You'll end up being that. Well,
I probably will be. I'm going to try not to be one of those people. But there are a lot of things they did that their characters did in the movie that is not really feasible if you were to play it like in the board game version, like the tabletop version. So I just have doubts as to whether they actually did that. I feel like it's got to be a publicity stunt. I could be wrong.
I mean, they may have played as their characters just to get like inspiration for the world, but I'm sure director, cinematography, and everything, in the act of making a movie, trumped like D&D rules.
For sure.
So I don't find it completely unfeasible
Yeah.
or unbelievable, but I also didn't see that quote either.
I want to know. I want to know who the DM was.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna make my believability a lot higher. So I had one more thing to ask about before we go into spoilers, and I can't remember what it was. So normally I have a laptop in front of me, and sometimes even a whole second monitor. I don't have any of that today, so I'm going to try not to stare at my phone to like look at my notes. But I feel naked.
A+ game.
Yeah,
Right
it's
here.
you just got to go off the cuff all the time.
It's the return of the Mac. It's the return of the podcast. Here it is. Alrighty. Any last things you guys would like to add for people who are maybe on the fence about going to see this movie?
I mean, I didn't mean to hit the table. I don't know why I did
You
that.
do that every episode, and you usually say, "I didn't mean to hit the table."
I mean, I just do that.
Just
I mean,
smacks
this is a
things.
movie where, if you're a fan of D&D, I would say go see it. If you like the game and everything. If you're not really into it, you may not. I mean, Josh, you said your wife enjoyed it, but I think some people may not. So I would say for those of you who have never played D&D, wait to stream it.
Okay.
That's just my take on it. I think you'll enjoy it more if you played the game.
I definitely think you'll enjoy it more if you've played the game, because especially if you've played anything on the Sword Coast, because that's where it takes place. You'll get little hits of like, haha, I know that.
I've seen that before.
Yeah, I've been here before. But I think if you're into any kind of fantasy fun movies, I think it's still a good movie outside of D&D.
It is not Lord of the Rings, if you like.
No, it does not take itself that seriously.
And thankfully, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's not the kind of movie it is.
If it did, then it would be boring.
I
Not
think
saying Lord of the Rings is boring, but
You just said it.
you're
but
on
it would be
Forever
boring in that
recorded.
sense
thin ice.
because Lord of the Rings has iconic characters. This does not have the same character credibility as Lord of the Rings does.
No, it for sure doesn't.
or the story.
They do name drop some really big, iconic people from like the lore, which you two probably have never heard of half of them, but there was a couple times I was like, oh, I've read about that guy, which was kind of cool for me as someone who's read a lot of the lore.
Yeah.
I'm going to second yours, Josh. I think even if you've never played the game, if you like fantasy movies or comedies even, I would say it's a good one. I'd say it stands on its own two legs, strong as a comedy fantasy movie. It just has the added benefit of if you like and have played or are familiar with the game, then you're going to get more mileage out of it.
It's like the whipped cream and cherry on top.
Yes.
It's like just a little extra.
It's a thick cherry. It's a juicy, wet
Yep.
cherry on top. Alrighty. With that, let's go into some spoilers and just kind of we can actually talk about some plot points now. So if you're at this point, we assume you've watched the movie. I do just kind of want to ask because there's a party, there was lots of characters. Who's your guys' favorite character?
Who we starting with here?
I'm going to go with the sorcerer. I can't remember what his name was, but I really liked his character. His character development.
Is it Simon?
Simon.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. His wittiness. Like, I just liked his character.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll with the villain. Forge is my favorite character.
Forge was pretty cool.
He was a cool.
Forge was hilarious.
He was a good villain. Like I'm like I vibe with this guy.
On their official stat blocks, I'm pretty sure he's a rogue and he has higher charisma than the bard.
He's very
But-
charismatic. He made me laugh every time he was on screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was awesome. I will say,
I was trying to figure out what all their classes were.
yeah,
Like through the movie, I was like, obviously the main character's a bard.
mhm.
And then the other lady, Olga, I don't know if is she a fighter or is she like a barbarian?
I think she's supposed to be a barbarian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you got a druid. And I
Well, they straight out said that she was a druid.
Yeah.
Tiefling druid.
tiefling druid. Mm-hmm. And then
Sorcerer.
Sorcerer.
Which I
Wit-
think she was a half elf. He was a half elf, I think.
Yeah.
yes, and then you had a wizard.
Yeah.
The Thay wizard.
Mhm.
And then a cleric, obviously.
Mhm.
So maybe I
was the
should say
cleric?
obviously. Oh, sorry, I hadn't said my character yet. My favorite character was the cleric, Edgen, the guy who was from Thay, but was the good Thayan.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was my favorite character.
I didn't realize
And-
what he was.
I'll tell you why he's my favorite character. Did both of you say who yours was? You said the sorcerer.
You said
I didn't
Forge,
pick a
right?
I didn't pick a party member. I picked the villain. It was my
The
favorite
villain
character.
forger. Okay. And then we started talking about their stat blocks. Yes. So he was a rogue, but he has higher charisma. But Chris Pine's character, the bard, had higher strength and constitution, which I put here in my notes. He's the worst bard I've ever seen in
He
D&D. He doesn't cast a single spell. He doesn't pick a lock. He doesn't
Well,
sneak.
hold on here. That's how I play bard though. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Bards typically are like
What?
a spellcaster of sorts. And one time I think would have been a really good use of it, getting into one of my, it's not really a dislike, it was just something I noted, was at one point he has the sorcerer cast an illusion spell to make it look like he's playing.
he could have easily done that.
But
Well,
a
he should have
bard,
been able to do that.
that is a spell that a bard would very commonly have in their repertoire to
Maybe
be
he
able to
doesn't.
like do. But it is what it is. He demonstrates minor spellcasting abilities, like through use of the talisman. But yeah, other than that, he's a terrible bard. He uses a blunt weapon. He doesn't use a dex weapon. He hits people with his loot. I kind of dig it, but
The
I
loot,
don't see anything wrong with it. I
The-
really see nothing wrong with it.
yeah, the loot was probably one of my favorite things. He was just like smacking people with it, and then jumps in the water, and then he gets out and he's tuning it.
Yeah.
and it's just funny.
it was a great example of sometimes when people play Dungeons and Dragons, they try to min-max their character. They want to have the best, most optimized build they can. But some people, especially those who played the game for a while, just make something they think would make for a good story or would be fun. And while I put that he's a terrible bard, I think it was just supposed to be, I'm going to play this guy who doesn't use magic, and he's maybe not even like the best bard at times. I think that was a really good use of it. Same thing for the sorcerer. Sorcerers use charisma. I'm getting really nerdy here to anyone who doesn't play Dungeons and Dragons. Sorcerers use charisma to cast, but yet our sorcerer, while probably having moderately high charisma, was not charismatic in the
he
slightest.
was not. No.
So you got the impression that these people specifically made like antithesis to like the traditional character to avoid min-maxing. I kind of like that.
Except the barbarian. She was just a bad A.
She was your stereotypical barbarian
Yes.
that just hit stuff, hit some more.
She went berserk multiple times.
Yeah.
She had such cool fight scenes though. I put that I loved that.
It's like some of the only fight scenes was her.
Some of the big ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked that her fight scenes especially, but also with the cleric. They weren't like fast cuts, like swing a sword, cut to the guy going to the ground. They were long, sometimes 30-second shots of uncut like fight choreo, and it was pretty good fight choreo. I thought it was really well done. So hands off. Take your hands hats off to the Dungeons and Dragons production team for that one. They made the fights look really good. Did anyone have a least favorite character? I had to think really hard to find my least favorite character. Okay.
First one is the flipping kid.
The daughter?
I could not stand the daughter.
That's my one. That's what I
She
put.
was dull as a box of rocks. Why do I care about this character?
I think if we go back and listen to all the podcasts, you just don't like kid actors, I don't think.
Well, they got to be good.
I think every movie almost every movie we've watched, you're like, I don't like the kid actor. I don't like the kid. The kid's the worst character.
You know what? Maybe if the kids had some talent, maybe I would actually like him.
I didn't think the kid was terrible, but I didn't think that she got the chance to shine either.
I don't think she was a terrible actress. I didn't like her character because she knows what her dad is, and yes, he didn't tell her why he was going on that super dangerous heist. But for her to hold it against him so hard felt a little harsh, and then for her to, when he does escape, not believe her dad or Olga. Like, so they're both saying that this man, who is a notorious con man, this man is notoriously known for like being an evil con man. She chooses to believe that guy rather than her father and who she sees as her like adopted aunt and or mother. It just feels like it was really forced. And
you got to have that sort of conflict there, and they just kind of shoehorned it in there.
Yeah. And to be fair, and I'm going to say this point a lot. As a DM, I would maybe do that. I hate to say it. Sometimes for a story, yeah, you got to do that. And I'm trying to look at this I try to view this movie as if this is a group of people playing the game. Makes it kind of more fun. And I was like, I bet the DM was like, I've got to give the dad some reason to like have to come back and do all this and stuff like that. So, but she was my least favorite character. Just because I didn't felt she did much, and what she did do just it didn't really add anything to the story. So she was my least favorite character, but not for the reason I thought she was a bad actress. I just meh.
I didn't really have a least favorite character. I guess if I had the weakest character would probably be the kid, but I wouldn't say that I disliked her.
The other one that's up there is the Fae Wizard. I thought
she was pretty cool.
I thought she was cool.
I didn't care for that character. Like, I just kind of forgot she was a thing throughout part of it.
She's just supposed to be like a evil, I want to turn people into zombies, Fae Wizard. So I thought she did that well.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like legit forgot she was like a main threat in the movie, though. Like,
okay, fair.
She was a very forgettable character because
she didn't really have any dialogue.
You got the king there. You got old Forge there, my boy.
Yeah, old Forge.
Forge, I vote for him.
One of my favorite parts was how terrifying they made her whenever like the druid was as a fly and she just goes, there's a shapeshifter among us and points at the ceiling and just screeches and like points a blue finger. Terrifying. I thought that was so cool.
The couple times that she like went crazy
that stuff was cool.
That was really cool.
Just everything else, I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
So they definitely built, going back to their stat blocks, they're like NPC stat blocks. They're not full character sheets. They built them for sure after the movie was made, not before, because they just randomly threw on this ability in here. It's like cast meteorites, which lets her summon meteorites down that hit a random area of effect. And I was like, they totally just saw that in the movie. We're like, okay, throw it on her block. I was very upset by how cool that attack looked, and it just hit everything but
Yeah.
the main characters.
I was trying to figure out
Bad
what that
rolls.
might have been. Like, I didn't know if she was like throwing fireballs and missing, or if it was. I didn't know what it was.
There might be a spell that does something similar, but I think they more or less just kind of generic meteor spell number 5, like just summon meteors. You know what I mean? I could
Yeah.
be wrong. There are people who know many more of the spells than I do, so maybe they do know.
Going back to your point, Tyler, on the what things that you do as a DM, there is one spot in particular where I thought, like, you know what, Tyler would bail us out like this on the DM,
What was it?
and that is when Simon triggers the bridge.
I have that
They
in
have
here.
no
I
way-
have that in my notes.
No
It
way
was
to get
definitely
no
a
way to get
DM move.
across. Like, well, how do we get over? Like, oh wait, that staff you picked up, it's a magical staff, and you can teleport across.
You're not only hitting your mic, you're punching my mic stand.
I've gone crazy here.
No, you were 100% right. I put that in there, and I put I liked how much it felt like there was a dungeon master, and then I talked about a couple things. But one thing I put in there: there's always a backup MacGuffin for when the players screw up.
Yeah.
And that's 100% something I would do. Okay, a player walked across the bridge before I finished explaining it and destroyed the bridge. Yeah, there's a portal wand.
Like, oh, hey, that staff you picked up, it's a magical one.
Yeah.
That's totally something. In the same scene, there was another time. So the cleric, I believe, wasn't supposed to be a player character. That was the dungeon master playing an NPC, which is why he was so smart and like had these witty remarks and thought it was really funny.
That's why he also walked over rocks.
walked straight. Yeah,
Like, he's gonna go around it? Nope.
they made sure you knew he was an NPC. And there was 2 times for sure that I was like, I can totally see the dungeon master be like, I'm going to show off how cool this guy is. And one of those was when there's like 9 guys and the cleric's like, I've got this, and just solos them all. I'm like, that would never happen unless it was the dungeon master telling you about a fight. Pablo, yeah, our Pablo. And then the second time, similar to Cole's point, the bard was about to slide into the dragon's mouth because he crit failed, I'm assuming. And I was like, what would I do in that situation? I was like, I would totally have the cleric jump off and just stab the dragon in the eye enough to like make it close its mouth.
Yeah.
I loved that about this movie. It felt like there was like a goofy but good dungeon master talking them through the game. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, especially the chunky dinosaur or the chunky dragon.
That's thick boy dragon.
That's definitely some DM was just like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna make a dragon that's slightly threatful. And how do they do that? Because he's huge.
He's chunk.
He's junk.
Yeah, I like that because it kind of captured like how D&D is, where it would be boring if they got through everything and it was just flawless run, nothing goofy happened. D&D goofy stuff happens all the time. You're gonna fail your rolls.
Yeah.
And this kind of
There's a couple times that I was like, oh, that was for sure supposed to be imitating a crit fail. Like when the guy was casting illusion and his foot gets stuck in a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
He loses concentration. He loses. Yeah, I liked the way that they portrayed like spells taking concentration.
Yeah.
Like his foot getting stuck and like you can see him losing concentration and the illusion just like melts. I was like, oh,
it is
that's how concentration
terrifying
spells
looking.
work.
It's nightmare fuel.
I love that you're rolling for like a constitution or like a concentration check, and you crit fail. So the dungeon master's like, your foot gets stuck in a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
You know, I can totally see that happening. I also love, once again, going back to, there was for sure a DM narrating this event because the illusion then starts to like freeze like a computer would. And that was totally some guy describing how it's breaking down and freezing. Like that would never happen in a other fantasy world unless there was some goofy nerdy DM, you know, describing it. So I thought that was cool. That was easily my favorite, like my most favorite part of the movie in general was just the overall dungeon master just being there. But that being said, like, what did you guys have a favorite scene in this movie?
Yes.
What was it?
Them talking to the zombies.
Them talking. That was good.
That was
Because
hilarious.
that also is such a goofy premise, like especially the first one where they're asking like, why would you say like they're asking questions, not meaning to ask questions, and they have a set amount. Like it's something that our party would do when we were playing. Like,
oh, for sure.
like what you blew through all our questions here. Now we gotta ask someone else. Keep going on to the next one. On to the next one.
Yep.
And then just all the goofiness, like, so they did finally get the right questions started being asked, and then every time they'd go ask those guys, it's like, what'd you do? It's like, I slipped and hit my head getting out of the bathtub.
Yeah, like their last question was always how they died.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. For sure goofy. And then in typical Dungeons and Dragons fashion, we have to move the story to the next character I want to introduce you to. It's like, what happened to you? It's like, a man just walked up and took it from me.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so did you have a favorite scene? Or was it also that one?
I think the whole scene of them in the arena, I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
And like seeing the party think about like how to get out of it, and then the tiefling, her wit, she had incredible intelligence. I would say to be able to think of, oh, if we go in here, then it's going to go down, and I can just snake my way out. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. My favorite part was a very similar thing, was getting the painting into the wagon.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
couple times that you could see, like, you guys have come up with some wacky shenanigans every now and then.
Like,
Then I have to figure out how to make it work. There's a couple times I was like, that scene in particular, I was like, that's such a unique way to solve a problem. That's so cool. So I loved, and then just being removed from Dungeons and Dragons. That was a cool scene. That was a good use of portals. It was a good use of like mechanics
world.
and the camera work throughout the whole movie. They did lots of camera flipping and spinning, and it looked really good. It looked really good in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
I was really happy with it.
It was funny when it zoomed back out, and you see the caravans like looking over, and the players are like halfway in this portal, and they're just like, "Hey!"
That was
that
really
was the
good.
DM saying, "Hey, somebody in the caravan noticed you. What are you gonna do?"
I wave.
I wait.
Yeah.
Roll for deception.
Yeah.
Like I loved it. It was really good. Awesome. Any other parts in general throughout the movie? Like, so, I loved the entire scene where they're down, like in the dungeon in the Underdark.
Yeah.
Which I want to know what level these characters are. I've tried to find it. Seems like their level switches a little bit, and I want to know like what is the level of like the Thayan wizard and stuff like that. But either way, they go to the Underdark, which is something that is always a spooky. You probably shouldn't do that encounter. But I loved that.
Our party never did.
You almost did.
We almost did.
chose
We
not-
did not.
Going back to that, you were talked about enjoying the movie more because you have seen it. I loved. We just ran Tyranny of Dragons, which is set on the Sword Coast. It's set in like Waterdeep and Baldur's Gate. I loved how we went and visited, or at least talked about, almost every single thing they did in this movie leading up to the main plot.
Mm-hmm.
You were a Harper.
Yeah.
You fought the Cult of the Dragon. They showed the cultist, and they talked about like that going on. You guys met the guy who woke up at the end, Lord Neverember, the guy who was asleep. You guys met him. He was part of your council. I think that was really cool. Like, I kept looking at Cole. I was like, we've been there.
I know this place.
I've been here before. No, I really enjoyed that. And if you've played Dungeons and Dragons, but you haven't played the official adventure, you still may not get some of that, but it was really cool.
Yep.
Talked about the pudgy dragon, but like another thing I loved was the exposition dumps for backstories.
Gotta have them.
You gotta.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be upset if you guys don't do that, but every other table I've ever played with, when two people meet, the character's like, I'm gonna say my backstory now. Because
Maybe we should do that, because I tend to get halfway through a campaign and be like, what was my character's backstory? I've just been fighting the cult for so long I forgot.
stabbing people with my knife.
Yeah.
No, I felt every time they met a character, they started spouting a backstory, and I thought that was hilarious. Way more races in this movie than I thought they were going to have. I figured it'd be mostly humanoids, because the way I interpreted the books, that's how it was. But they had almost every single race. What did you think of the Dragonborn?
I thought it looked fine.
Fine.
It was interesting.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's one of the few design choices in this movie I didn't like. I think the Dragonborn looked bad.
It didn't look great.
Yeah.
There's you may have got up. You remember the part where your cleric boy there takes the baby like cat. What's the cat race?
Oh, hold on.
I'm just gonna call them cat folk for the sake of this.
Yeah, they basically are. Hold
Yeah,
on.
but it's like the baby cat folk was eaten by a fish, and they had to take it out. I thought the baby cat looked like a really bad animatronic.
Yeah, it did.
It's just like very stiff looking. Like that looked pretty bad. And some of the other creatures, like the CG, just didn't look great.
Yeah, I appreciate that they tried to use.
They tried their hardest, but goodness, it wasn't it.
They tried to use practical effects. They did it for the Dragonborn. They did it for the cat person. They did it for Jonathan.
Was it Jonathan or
Jarnathan.
Jarnathan?
Was it Jarnathan?
Jonathan's the goat. Gosh,
The goat.
the goat.
That was great.
Loved Jonathan's scene.
And now here's the
that
thing though.
mid-credit scene.
That is another thing. It's like you got approved, and like it's like this elaborate escape plan that they're insisting on going through with.
Yeah.
Another goofy D&D moment.
Did they get approved?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
the
says it
Dragonborn
as
said
they
like
fall out.
as they were running with Jonathan, he goes, "Wait, you got approved," and then they go,
I missed that. I totally missed that.
"Yeah."
Yeah.
No,
Totally something we would have done.
Jonathan looked okay, but a lot of the other animatronics, they looked a little rough. And then the CG in general was okay, but there's a couple times it looked really bad. And sometimes it kind of looks like a frame rate issue. Like I wonder if I was to see that like at home on my screen, like would it look better? One scene in particular was when the deer was running away.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
that didn't look very
The
good.
feet didn't look like they were matching up with the ground.
yeah. It seemed like a lot of like the whenever she would transform, like it would just even if you wouldn't see the full thing, it still look kind of it'd be off.
Yeah.
I did notice that they used a lot of cutaway camera angles when she was transforming because I feel like that's a lot of CG
Yeah.
to try to get really good, especially
Even
when you
just
go
a
from
little
like
bit, though.
go from a fly to a deer, like that's a lot. So like they kind of cut to another place and then came back and she was changed.
But even when you get like just glimpses of it, it didn't look great still.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's difficult to do that.
Yeah. It makes me wonder why.
Like, why even do that? Like,
But like, why was the CG as poor as it was? Because it wasn't like this movie, from what I've read, I haven't read of any like big production issues they had, something that would cause it to become stalled. So I didn't know why the CG looked as rough as it did, but it definitely, if it hadn't been a funny, silly comedy, would have taken me out of it. But the fact that it was a fun, silly comedy, it didn't bother me at all. That was one of my two real dislikes for this movie. Did you guys have any other dislikes, things you didn't like about this film? If not, that's okay.
Not really. I mean,
Josh, about you?
I don't think so.
I thought the ending was a tad rushed.
yeah.
When Olga was dying, one, I didn't think that scene was shot or paced well, so I had a hard time feeling bad that she was dying. It almost was comical. And then because of some foreshadowing, I wonder if Chloe caught it. Actually, I meant to ask Chloe if she understood the foreshadowing. Because of some of the foreshadowing, it's like, okay, he's going to use this thing on her.
Yeah.
I felt zero sadness when she died.
Yeah.
And then they instantly brought her back. And then it pans up and it's gone. It's done. And it was like, oh, okay. It felt a little rushed.
A little bit. I didn't even see her get stabbed. I thought that was kind of odd. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know when it happened.
Oh, yeah.
I guess maybe that was the whole thing. It was just like in the heat of the moment it happened and
No one noticed.
no one noticed. But I feel like at a table
That would be
with
brought
the
up.
game, you would have had the DM would have had to say Olga was stabbed.
I don't know.
I guess maybe not. I guess
If you guys
could've-
were fighting something and she had like disappeared in the heat of battle, I very easily could have been like, you turn over and Olga, you see a knife stabbed through her ribs. Now
I guess so.
the only thing that makes me agree with you is that Olga was a player character.
Yeah.
But either way, role play purposes, maybe I'd DM Jonah, be like, hey, your frog has a knife in its side, and then you guys would find it out later, something like that.
Maybe. I don't know. I just felt like that was a little, like you said, rushed. It's
Yeah.
like they got to the end. It was like, we have to stay under a certain amount of time. Let's rush the ending.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll get like an extended cut with some fixed CG. You see that? You used to see that more often. You don't see it as often anymore. But I would love an extended cut. Maybe even if there was like kind of like what they used to do with Anchorman, like an R-rated cut that's extended and like maybe fix the CG a bit. I'd love that personally.
I'd watch it. Yeah.
All right. I mean, all in all, it was a really fun movie. I think I'm ready. I'm going to have to do this on my phone. This is going to be terrible. Oh my gosh. I've never had to do the rubric on my phone before. Can I even get it pulled up?
First world problems.
It really is. The movie rubric. Here it is. Let's see how well this works. You guys ready to plug this bad boy into the rubric?
Mm-hmm.
I will start us off with plot. For what it is, it was a Dungeons and Dragons movie. How do I type on here? There we go. For what it was a Dungeons and Dragons movie. I expected the plot to be let's get the people from point A to point B to point C to point D so that I can tell you a story and fun things can happen along the way. It did that. While it was simple, I'm going to give the plot a 5.
Yeah, I would agree on that. I'm also going to give it a 5 because you had your main plot, but also in D&D fashion, you have to go on a million side quests to get all the stuff you need for the main plot here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they did that instead of just like, oh, you just got the main plot and you're not going to do anything else. You're just going to focus on that. Like, we need to go get the helmet, but to do that, we got to talk to the dead people, and then we end up in the Underdark. And then I like how we had all like the side quests with it.
And then once you get the helmet, you can't just use it.
You got to
attune to it. Speaking of attunement, I forgot. Probably one of my least favorite things was like how rushed he attuned to it. Like he had struggled, and then it was just like something clicked, and he was able to do it.
I think that was what the bard was saying is like you have you're descendant from one of the greatest, sorcerers this continent has seen. You have this ability, you just have to have the confidence and the willpower to do it, and you tend to do it under pressure. So I think that was kind of the thing is like,
I guess they did kind of explain it with that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I enjoyed that they did. I forgot to put it in my notes, but I enjoyed that they actually had. Normally in D&D, attuning is something you just say, I'm doing. It's like, I'm going to attune. Cool. Mark it on your character sheet. I appreciate that in this movie, especially since it's such a legendary item. For what I assume is a lower level, 5th, 6th level party, that they took the time to make it have a different element for the movie thematically. I thought that was really cool, the way they made him fight himself and fight his grandfather.
Yeah. Speaking of player levels, I felt like, our system we had, when we played, the whole party was the same level. But I felt like Olga's character was a higher level than most of the others.
Olga's character was definitely better at fighting, but she's balanced out in that she doesn't do too much else.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has poor social skills and
she min-maxed the barbarian.
Yeah.
She dumped intelligence. She dumped charisma.
Yeah.
Put all of her stats into strength and constitution.
hit things really hard.
Yeah. Maybe though, you're not wrong. It feels like the druid was also a few levels above everyone too.
Yeah, the druid and the barbarian were super. I felt like they were at least a level or two higher than the rest of the party. And I felt like the sorcerer was lower than the rest of the party.
I have a tangent about the druid before I go in too far. Plot.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Talk
Plot.
away. Talk away. You're good.
I think a 5 as well. It was simple, got the job done.
No plot holes.
No plot holes really.
Yeah. Something I meant to say earlier. They're actually one thing that a lot of people like lawyered up and we were talking about and saying like the druid can't turn into an owlbear. That was a big thing in the trailers that people got upset about. And I say upset in air quotes, but they're actually for the new D&D 1 they're making, they're rewriting the druid class to where you can just turn into anything. So, and they said that part of the reason they're doing that is because of the movie. So it's kind of interesting.
If she can do that, why not just turn into a dragon though?
So
and just be a dragon.
Wild shape. Are you ready? D&D lawyer time. I'm gonna put on my best Matt Mercer impression. Although Matt, if you somehow ever listen to this, I'm sure I'll miss something. Call me and let me know because I'd love to hear your voice. Wild shape is different from polymorph. Wild shape, I'm pretty sure, says you can only turn into beasts, meaning like
Dragon's a beast.
No, it's not.
Dragons are
The
extremely intelligent.
Giant lizard that breathes fire.
Dragons are dragons. I think they may even have their own classification if I remember correctly. But wild shape lets you turn into beasts such as like the deer that Olga joked about, a fly, an alligator, things that could basically exist in our world. Whereas an owlbear, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, is a monstrosity, which is why per raw rules as written, you shouldn't be able to do it. But then wizards, they're saying with the new playtest material they're putting out, you can turn into whatever you want. It just has a stat block. So no matter what you turn into, it shares a stat block. So they said you could turn into an elephant the size of a dog that would share a stat block with an owl, like if you were to turn into an owlbear. So I don't like it. But they're part of the reason they're doing that is I think is a response to the movie.
I would abuse that so much. Turn into an owlbear.
Yeah, like if one of you wanted to say I wanted to turn into an owlbear, you lived with them or you studied one, I'd probably allow it because I don't think an owlbear breaks it. But true polymorph, Cole, would let you turn into a dragon. It lets you turn into like basically anything up to a certain challenge.
Be a dragon.
You could.
I thought it had size limitations too. I thought it was like anything of your size class and below.
It depends on the spell and like whether you hide. We're talking about Dean. We'll do this afterwards. We'll talk about this. I got the book on the shelf over there. We'll look at the spell. Okay, characters. Cole, how would you rate characters?
4.
4?
Because the kid actor was horrible, or not horrible. Kid actor was boring, and the other chick, like the side villain, just kind of just meh. Was cool when she was on screen, but other than that, was just a very forgettable character.
Okay.
So I'm going with 4. Everything else was really good. I liked all the other characters.
Josh, what about you for characters?
I'm going to give characters a 5.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, I didn't really have a least favorite character, or like a character I just really didn't like. Resonated with a lot of them. I enjoyed a lot of the character arcs and development through the movie. So yeah, 5.
I'm also a 5. I mean, it's Dungeons and Dragons. And yeah, I didn't love the daughter. She was my least favorite character for story reasons, but I mean, as a character, she was okay.
I mean, she was just an NPC.
An abandoned daughter. Yeah, that's an NPC. That's, mind you, part of someone's backstory.
Yeah.
Like, so the Dungeon Master's throwing her in as a story hook. I thought the characters, yeah, all of them were unique. And you're right, Josh. You've said it earlier, too. They had character progression. They weren't stagnant. And I really appreciate that. I'll go ahead and start us on the next one. Or sorry, Josh, why don't you start us on the next one? Sorry about that. I'm going out of order.
What's the next one?
Direction.
Oh,
you should just know the order of the rubric. Come on, don't
It's been
you?
6 weeks.
It's been 6 months.
Yeah. Direction. Probably going to go a 4.
Okay.
I don't have too many nitpicks besides just some of the practical effects and the visual effects weren't great. Maybe not the director's fault entirely, but when I think direction, I kind of lump it all under the production side.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to go 4.
I'm the same way. When the special effects looked good, they looked really good. There was some awesome camera work in a movie that didn't need to have really unique, awesome camera work. I thought it was really cool. The music was great. The pacing for
Music was great.
Music was awesome.
It's like the classical music. I was like, we need to get this soundtrack for our D&D sessions.
I made a note of that in my cell phone as we were leaving.
so good.
Josh, we're not D&D people anymore. We're Pathfinder.
We're Pathfinder.
Maybe.
people.
Hold on. We have a.
I'm looking at all the Pathfinder stuff on the
Yeah,
table.
you
All
can
right.
see it on the table.
I hope we're Pathfinder people. We're gonna play it. We're gonna find
You've
out.
obtained a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
Well, worst case scenario, it looks good on my shelf. The soundtrack was awesome.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for some poor CG animatronics here and there, and a little bit of pacing issues towards the end, it'd be a 5. So I'm also a 4. Cole, what about you?
I'll go 4. Same thing. CG and the animatronics were rough. And really, you brought up the pacing at the end. Like, if there was a little bit more pacing issues, it could have dropped me to a 3. But I will give it the benefit of the doubt and round up to a 4.
I started thinking about our Tyranny of Dragons campaign, and I kind of did the same thing at the end.
Yeah,
It's
the
like,
wet blanket
you
ending
killed
there.
you killed Tiamat. You got a medal.
The end.
You went off into the sunset and
And
credits.
done.
So I thought about it and I was like, I can't really knock them.
Yeah.
It's kind of to the point of
You wrapped up 3 years of D&D in like 4 hours.
It's like
It
kind of
was-
what
it
I
was-
did.
It was 2 in the morning. Everyone was tired.
So that was literally my thought whenever the pacing came up. I was like, I can't be mad.
yeah. Speaking of bad, like some of the bad visual effects, some of the good ones I thought were really cool. When the Red Wizard would like teleport,
Yeah.
like she poofed
Yeah.
and poofed. I thought that was really cool.
That was, I think, supposed to be Misty Step. I
Mis-
think is what
okay,
that was. And it
Misty
looked,
Step,
and it looked
yeah.
really cool.
It looked really cool.
I loved. We're backtracking now. We're no longer in the rubric. I loved the sorcerer doing his like routine in the theater and casting like thaumaturgy. Like, I'm gonna make it smell like grass. Just like one of the most weird spells in D&D because it can be useful in very minute situations. But then he's like, I'm gonna
Be slightly blurry.
it's like it's like there's a blur spell that makes it where enemies I think have like a it's either minus to hit you or disadvantage. And I was like, now here's the trick, it's looking slightly blurry.
Yeah,
Really
you don't
blurry.
want to be. It's easy to be very blurry, but you want to be slightly blurry.
I love that they put in all these low level nobody uses them spells. I was like, that's actually really funny
Yeah.
that they're putting those in there. Okay. Continuity. We said it. There's no plot holes. 5 out of 5 for me on that one. That one's really not an issue.
Same. Yeah, there's nothing to nitpick on that. I'm giving it a 5 as well.
Yeah, we typically tear continuity apart, but there really wasn't much to tear apart here, so I'm going to give it a 5.
The Dungeons and Dragons
They
campaign.
kept it simple enough there to where there really wasn't much to screw up on.
Even the good Thayan, they like the cleric. They still
Brought him back.
They brought him back. They gave him a good backstory, and the bard stayed true to his backstory of hating Thay people, but then character progress. Like they just didn't leave a lot out.
Yeah,
it was good.
No, it was a really tight. While it was easy to follow simple plot, it was a really tight plot as far as continuity goes. Cole, last category, perhaps the most important, enjoyment.
5.
Yeah, okay.
I really like this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Josh.
it's fun.
5 as well. It was fun. Our theater was fun. It was lighthearted. Not often in the theater we go to do you get a theater that laughs and talks in a movie, not distractingly.
No. Okay, I'm gonna let Tyler say his enjoyment thing. I got something to say about the theater.
Oh. Hold on, I'm scared. I have to change the
Oh gosh.
it's a quick change.
Oh, is it because you had Jonah in
I gotta
there?
change the formula. Jonah, you're ruining everything. You're
Maybe
not even
just
here.
get on the rubric and then maybe we don't have to change things.
Okay. Did I do it right? Okay, I think I did it right. B8, B17, B20. Oh, no.
And we're talking Excel formulas.
I need it to have, this
Bingo.
is B8, B17, and B26. Did you get bingo?
Yeah.
Cole got bingo.
Wow. You're so good.
I'm the best at bingo. Never lost.
I'm trying to do this on my phone, and it's not.
That was funny.
That was really good. Alrighty. I've got it now. Brings our score.
Did you give your enjoyment?
I didn't. I'm so sorry, but you should know what it is.
It's a 1, isn't it?
5. It's a 5.
It's definitely a 1, yeah.
I loved this movie, and maybe it's because D&D has been a part of my life for 13 years almost now. Which
Wow.
is
You're
insane.
a nerd.
Wow, what a big old
Big
nerd.
surprise.
Big flipping nerd.
Yeah,
My
no one
gosh.
knew that.
You should start an episode or start a podcast called Here Be Nerds.
Would you be on it with me?
I absolutely wouldn't. It sounds like it'd be trash.
Yeah. Don't look that up.
I'm sure it exists somewhere out there on the internet.
Jonah has them downloaded on his phone.
What?
He might be one of the last few people where you can watch those. 'Cause
Jonah,
he has them downloaded.
find better content.
Gosh.
Either way, yes, I love this movie. 5, which brings our total score to 94.6%. So we'll just round that up to a 95%.
Nice.
Very well done, Dungeons and Dragons.
Good
That
A.
is yeah, that really is. That is our second highest movie that I have readily available. I know we've reviewed more movies than this, but I have The Menu being a 96.
Well, The Whale.
Oh, I don't have The Whale in here. Yeah, that was
That was a perfect.
perfect. So it's our
Oh, yeah,
third
we did.
highest rated movie. So, alrighty. Has anyone looked up? I feel like I cut off one of you, and I'm so sorry. Was one of you about
our
to say
theater.
something?
There's that one guy in the theater that was just like had this really obnoxious laugh.
He did.
Ooh, he laughed at everything. It wasn't even stuff that was funny on the screen.
I guess I missed this guy.
Oh, he laughed at everything. And
Really?
He was like one row in front of us. You're making fun of people for laughing.
Yeah, how
Well,
dare you?
it was stuff that wasn't
How
even
dare
funny.
you?
Can you prove it wasn't funny?
It was like the somber moments.
Where's
He
your
was like,
math?
Where's your
Prove it wasn't funny with the scientific formula.
all right. I got the Y equals Q plus
Okay.
Wow.
3.
Wow.
Nailed it.
Checks out.
Just
Checks
nailed
out.
it.
That's good.
I feel bad because I went and saw John Wick on Wednesday, which I might maybe do like a little mini thing, just like plug it into the rubric and put the score out there for the world to see. Since I don't think we're gonna have time to go see it as a group.
There's other movies coming out.
Yeah.
Mario.
Mario.
Let's
But
go,
I went and saw John
Wahoo.
Wick, and there were moments that I thought were hilarious. And I was the only person in the theater laughing. I don't want to spoil the movie for you guys or anyone else since this isn't a movie about John Wick, but it got silly in John Wick 3 and it got pretty silly in John Wick 4. So there are moments that I thought were very intentionally supposed to be, hey, this is stupid, laugh at this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was dying and the audience was just sitting there like silent. And so you say that and it's like, oh no,
You are that guy.
I was that
No,
man.
but listen, we were the ones that were laughing during the menu though, when no one was laughing.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's what I meant though. Like we typically the theater we go to, you get like it's usually silent.
I like going to.
I don't mind the whole theater laughing. Just when the one guy's laughing like legit the entire time, I'm like, this is okay. It's funny. It's not that funny of a movie though. You're griping about the Violent Night, kids. This is my enemy here in the movie theater. This guy laughing here.
No
He
one
probably-
is worse than those Violent Night.
No, nobody. He probably stopped off at the lobby bar.
Probably
Had one
did.
too many
Yeah,
drinks.
wouldn't surprise me.
He was feeling good.
He was. Sounded like it. Having a grand old time up there.
Jeez. I forgot what I was even gonna say. I don't know. Like I'm
Been
so
on a
off track
tangent.
now. You said that was your enemy. I'm trying to go back.
John
You know-
Wick.
John Wick. I don't know, man. When you're doing a podcast, like I could sit here and like try to remember what I was saying, but that's boring.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna forget it. Maybe it'll come to me. So I would like to look at the Rotten
Oh
Tomato
yeah,
score.
I think that's what we were gonna do.
I was pulling it. That wasn't my thought, but
Oh well, I thought we were gonna guess it, Tyler.
for the longest time, did you see it, Josh?
I
I
showed
did
it to
not.
Cole. Josh, what do you think the Rotten Tomato was?
I'm gonna give
Wrong.
the review or the what you call it, the critic score.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give an 82,
Okay.
and the audience score I'm gonna give a 95.
You're close with the audience score. It's a 93.
Oh,
So we're only a little bit higher than the audience score. We're in the ballpark. Critics surprisingly love this movie. It has a
Okay.
91%.
wow.
I would have never imagined that because critics seem to hate anything that exists for the sake of being fun. It's like, this isn't art.
I feel like
Oh,
critics.
you know what's art? Mathregan.
Yeah. I feel like critics recently have been whack.
They have been.
Whack.
Whack. I'm bringing it back.
Did it ever leave?
I don't know.
Whack.
I'm going to ask the kids at schools, hey, do we still say whack? I asked them the other day, do we still say ratchet about stuff?
I don't think anyone said ratchet in a while. I haven't heard that in a while.
I say ratchet, and I get made fun of.
I mean, I'd make fun of you.
As you should.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. The critics tend to not like things that are just exist for the sake of being fun and silly. So I'm happily surprised. Which does bring me into my next point. The movie, I remembered it.
Okay.
Aha.
I miss midnight releases. This is what I was going
you
to say.
told me about. Yeah,
I
you
miss
talked
midnight
about that.
releases. I miss dressing up. I miss going to movies and being in a movie theater with people who also love that thing enough to get out on a Thursday night at midnight.
Yeah.
It was awesome. This was close to that feeling.
Maybe we should have dressed up.
I
but,
thought about it. I thought about wearing like my big black robe hood and like
No.
bringing a bunch of dye in.
No, we should have dressed up, but from like other medieval movies, like not related to D&D.
Did you?
Like
We could have LARPed in the lobby.
Lord of the Rings, you could have done what was that? Knight's Tale?
If I could get you guys to LARP with me,
No.
I would not be wasting it on Dungeons and Dragons movie premiere. I'm going to take you guys to a real LARP. We're going to do it. Did you hear the clerk taking my ticket? I feel very offended because I'm an okay looking guy.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
hear this either.
My beard is trimmed. My hair is, while long, was pulled back nicely. I was wearing an okay shirt. I walked in, and he goes, "Hey, are you here to see Dungeons and Dragons?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, you guys look like that kind of group." So he threw you into this too. And then he commented on Elena's like flowy cardigan shawl, and he goes, "I like your cosplay."
I don't think you understand the meaning of that word.
I think he's
sir.
just. I think
I
he's
think
just
that
saying
man
words.
was stoned out of his mind.
Must be
Working the front
He had
Drinking
also
on-
stopped at the lobby bar too before his
drinking
shift
on the
started.
job.
Like I was stoned out of his mind. But Elena was like, I'm not cosplaying, am I? I was like, I don't think that guy knows what cosplay
He's
is.
just saying, like, yes, hello, my fellow nerds. Doing our good cosplay, are we?
Here for that Dragon and Dungeon movie.
The dragoons and Durnjans.
What?
Lizards and Labyrinths.
Lizards and labyrinths. I like
Yep.
it better.
the brand.
That's what we're gonna call Pathfinder. It's not Pathfinder.
Lizards
it's
and Labyrinths.
Lizards and Labyrinths.
Man, we need to just start a whole Pathfinder podcast.
There we go.
Yeah, let's, because there's not many of them yet.
Ooh, we could be
The Pathfinder.
the critical role of Pathfinder.
I wish I was good enough to be Matt Mercer.
Well,
you could be because
He-
this
li-
is up and coming.
Until
listen, he has D&D. He can stay in his lane. We got Pathfinder.
Yeah.
We're taking
Oh,
over.
you're not wrong.
We're
You're not
taking
wrong.
over.
Let's
Never
do it.
lost.
Stay
Sweep the
tuned
world.
for the Pathfinder YouTube channel.
Yeah, let's do it. Set a camera up on the ceiling.
There we
facing
go.
it. On to my real, actual final point I was going to say. This movie is doing very well. The theater was packed. It has done very well this opening weekend. if one of you wants to Google it here in a little bit, we can. I'm curious to know what it made this opening weekend, but it is probably going to get a sequel.
Yeah.
How do we feel about that? And what do we want from a sequel? Because I shared what I wanted last night, but I'm curious to see.
I
what you guys
agree
want.
with what you said last night, which was give me the world, show me more of the world, and also I would like to see a different party, and then maybe you could set it up where you kind of do a connected story where you have. This party's doing their thing on the Sword Coast. I hit your mic stand
You
again.
did.
I'm
It's
talking
okay.
with my hands.
It's
and
all right.
No one can see us. I don't know why I'm talking with my hands.
Talk with
I
me.
can see you, Cole.
You got Sword Coast folk over here, but then you can also have other people doing adventures elsewhere on the map, and you could eventually lead up to a movie where you bring the parties together for one big adventure
To fight Tiamat.
to fight Tiamat.
That would be really cool.
That would be awesome.
You could do 2 or 3 movies of build up to lead to Tiamat. Then
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that plan. I wouldn't hate another movie with this party because I thought the party was fun. I just don't know where they would go with the story because they didn't really set it up for anything.
you could
they
even
set up the world, but they did. I don't think like they set this party up for much.
you could even drop them in other movies as cameos.
Yeah.
They can have someone approach them about the Dragon Initiative.
The
That would be
Dragon
pretty good.
Initiative.
Yeah, that's more than anything. What I want from this movie is for it to inspire people to give tabletop RPGs a try. And I'm specifically not saying D&D because we ourselves may not be playing D&D, and D&D and Pathfinder are not the only two. There are dozens, of good tabletop RPGs that many people think are nerdy or difficult to get into.
Don't forget Demonic.
Demonic,
Ooh,
true.
yeah, I gotta drink the blood of a goat every time we play.
We do. I mean, but that's optional.
We play out in the woods.
It's optional.
Yeah,
in an abandoned cellar.
We should. That should be our next.
That
group.
would be fun.
But I just hope that this movie sparks. D&D's already grown in size, but it just sparks a wave of people that are willing to look into and maybe experience, be open-minded to trying a tabletop RPG. And with the movies, I think if, like you said, I loved this party. If they did a sequel with them, I wouldn't be upset in the slightest. But maybe give me a sequel with this party, but then also a spinoff that talks about the other side of the continent, or maybe this one actually takes place in Baldur's Gate or the Underdark. Like, give me... Wizards has done such a great job of crafting this awesome world. Let's explore it. That's what I want. I want us to dive into it. I did Google it. If this headline is to be believed, I don't know. It opened its opening day with 15 million. Opening weekend so far, as of last night, Friday night, was 40 million, which was on the upper end of projections. So it's doing very well.
I think it was 150 million budget. That's what I read.
So doing pretty good for itself on its first 3 days out. That's really good. So, all righty. Any closing thoughts that don't involve rule lawyering? Because I'm going to grab my book, but I'm going to grab it after we end the podcast. Any closing thoughts?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Thanks for if you're listening, thanks for sticking with us after our small hiatus.
Yeah, all 2 of you.
Yeah.
All 2 of you. Yep.
I had 2 people at my school alone ask when the next episode was coming out. So we've got
Nice.
a minimum of 2. So I think we're doing okay.
Very nice.
We are planning to go see the Mario movie. Doesn't that come out
Next week.
next
April
week?
8th, right?
April 8th. Okay. I'm down if you guys are down.
Yeah.
We'll go and see it Saturday, and then we can plan that later. And then the week after that, we're going to go see, I believe it's called Suzume, which is the next, it's an animated movie from the guy who did Your Name and Weathering with You. Cole, don't say it. I can feel you tensing. Don't do it. I'm gonna mute you. Don't.
I'm not gonna do it.
Don't do it.
I'll save it for that episode. I
can.
got my anime bashing to.
So while I feel like I'm going to be putting on my anime armor and trying to defend this movie from you guys, it's going to make a fun episode, at least, hopefully. So,
I'm open-minded to it.
yeah.
I've watched a little bit of anime.
I mean,
I
I
won't
don't-
even say a fair bit.
I
but
don't
a
like
little
good
bit.
animes like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon.
Yu-Gi-Oh was S tier in its heyday.
Not trash ones like Attack on Titan.
Yeah. Cole, I'm going to end the episode on that. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. If you liked this, please share it with you. All right. The third please was a little too begging. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Share it with your friends. Have a good day.